Hey team, so I want to talk today a bit about strategy in your business and business management, basically being business outcomes focused for your project management in your business, but you can associate this with anything that you have going on as well, because it's universally applicable across strategic initiatives in your business. So first up, when I talk about strategies, I think of it in an OKR sense. Okay, so we have strategies, investments, and projects, OKR. So strategic objectives, these being measurable or not measurable. The high level, the your company initiatives that you want to achieve. And then you have strategic key results, and those key results are measurable at the strategic level. So these are high level but measurable strategic key results for your company. It's not specific unit level measurable results, it's company level. So it might be increase total profit for the company by 20% year on year, reduce headcount by 5% year on year, depending on whatever your strategic key results that you need to measure in order to get your strategic objectives for your business done. And then you've got your activities, and those activities are your projects. They're what your business is going to do at a high level in order to achieve those strategic key result outcomes. So, you know, what initiatives, what things are you going to pursue in order to get those key results that you're looking for. So when I talk about strategy, I think of it in a flow. All right, so you start off with your business vision. You know, where's your business going? What's the long-term view of where your business is going? And what's the mission? All right, so what's the mission for your organization? Define the core purpose of it. What strategic objectives are you going for? Measurable goals. This is where you come into the OKR, objectives, key results. And strategies are the plans or approaches that an organization adopts to achieve its strategic objectives. So this is, when we talk about strategies, it's like, what are you going to do? How are you going to achieve what it is that you're after in terms of your business vision, your mission, and your strategic objectives? And all of these inform your business project portfolio. So whether that's business projects, IT projects, building projects, marketing projects, you name it, you can fill it all in the blanks here. It doesn't have to be just purely IT. Right, and then when you take your business project portfolio, we take the strategies from the previous slide. So see, these inform the business project portfolio. Come down in here and we've got the business project portfolio. Those strategies inform the strategic journey timeline. So we want to map out, you know, when are we planning to do these things and when do we need to get these results by? And these feed into the proposals and business cases for your various projects that you want to undertake. And then you go into a prioritization and selection of your portfolio, because obviously you're not going to do absolutely everything you can think of unless you've got all the money in the world. So you're going to prioritize what it is that you want done first, and you're going to select your project portfolio, and that will inform your projects wrapper, which is basically your projects that are getting initiated and run through and completed. And then obviously your strategic objectives inform the strategic key results flowchart, which we'll go through in a little bit. Cool. We don't really need to go into the detail of that. Pause that if you want to have a read through. Cool. So strategic key results map. All right, so this is where we map out our OKRs. So we start off with the strategic objectives of the business. What key results affect which strategic objectives? So not all key results will affect all objectives. You'll have some key results will only affect one, some will affect multiple. So you can map those out. And then we come down to the strategic change outcomes. So these are the immediate results or effects that occur as a direct result of the capability or initiative that you undertake. So this is where you doing things, and those things result in an outcome at your business level. So it might be changes in processes, it might be improvements in technology, it could be you've implemented an ERP system, so that outcome there you're expecting is reduced complexity in your management of finances. And then obviously you come back to capability, and your capability you're trying to build is formed through initiatives, and those initiatives take the form of various types of projects. So these are specific investments or changes made within your business. Cool. All right, then we come down to the strategic journey maps. This is where I was talking about journey mapping, where you're thinking that your initiatives are going to land. So you can see here, we start, initiatives are in the square boxes, outcomes are in the ovals, and assumptions are in the hexagon. So we're making, like for example, we're making an assumption here that improved software reduces customer churn. Just an assumption. It may or may not be proven at this point in time. Obviously, the likes of our initiative to do a cybersecurity review, the expected result from that, expected outcome from that is a reduction in cybersecurity incidents. And you may conduct a cybersecurity review, then do cybersecurity improvements, and then get the outcome that you're after. And you're going to do that in the first half of 2026, and basically mapped out from there. And then you're going to do business management software enhancements, and that'll take you through until 2027. So there's a lot that you can map out on here, and it basically provides a visual for you to figure out, when are you going to do these things, and what outcomes are you likely to get in those time frames, so you can see it quite clearly. So we talk about strategy into projects. You take your strategic objectives, which we've already talked about, up here, strategic objectives. Okay, and they go into strategic key results, change outcomes, high-level capability initiatives. So this might be programs, projects, or portfolios of work, and then that files down into programs and projects. And then you need to understand the capability work that's required to be done. So what are you going to do in order to inside those programs and projects? What business unit change outcomes are going to result. So this is where you start thinking about, if I change the finance system inside my ERP, that's going to affect my finance business unit. If I change my CRM system or implement a CRM system, that's going to affect sales and marketing, but it might also have a downstream effect on finance. And then obviously that comes down to business unit benefit outcomes. So what's the benefit to those business units for the changes that you're making? So changing CRM system, implementing a CRM system may result in the business unit attaining higher sales, which results in higher profit for the business, as well as that higher commissions for the salespeople. So there's business unit outcomes, and then there's personal outcomes that come off the back of that as well. All right, so when I think about a projects wrapper, when we talk about a projects wrapper, that's basically the flow for getting your project off the ground and completed, starting the project, building up the concept, initiating the project. The concept is basically, what is this project? How does it look like? Not building a concept prototype. Project initiation and planning stage is where you get into your detailed planning and initiate the project. Design, so then you're building out all your designs. Then you execute, you build what it is that you're after, or make the changes that you need to make, and then deliver the outputs and close the project. And then that information feeds back into the business project portfolio, where you start to map out, where did I get my benefits? How did I get them? Did I achieve them? All those KPI type approaches. Cool. And then we go into turning strategy into projects. So this is where you take your strategic key results. So this is no longer your outcomes. This is actually strategic key results. And then you map that down to your change outcomes at your strategic level. And then what programs and projects will implement that capability that you need in order to get those change outcomes. This is where you start to get into the planning of how you build out that project portfolio. So when I was talking about feeding that information into project proposals and business case and prioritizing, it all comes down to basically planning out from this. It all fits in, starts to fit in together. Okay, and then your initiative is obviously the high level piece of initiative capability that you're trying to build out, and inside that capability, requires programs and projects in order to get that initiative or capability done and dusted. Cool. When we start to talk about project strategy decision quadrant, this is where you have a think about, I'm going to do an initiative. This isn't the projects or the programs. This is the high-level initiative itself that contains those projects and programs. It's expecting an outcome, and am I likely to get high return for low risk, or am I going to get high risk and high return, or am I going to get low risk and a lower return, or am I taking on like a high risk, high return, high risk, low return initiatives? So you start to think about, if I'm going to take a huge risk way over here in my initiative, does the outcome also have a high return, or does that outcome end up down here in the low return, high risk quadrant? So you end up with a poorly performed outcome for a high risk initiative, and obviously you want to put that down on your priority list so you don't end up with doing a whole bunch of initiatives that are high risk and low return. You want the high return, low risk initiatives going to be your low hanging fruit there, obviously. Cool. And then so we take that and we turn that into a project benefits chart. So what strategic key result are you after? And we start to look at, what are the business unit benefit outcomes that then feed into those strategic key results. They don't necessarily cause those strategic key results to be fully met, but they may contribute to it, because obviously you may have various different business unit benefit outcomes that result in overall a strategic key result being met, not necessarily from one capability here. And obviously you want to map out your business change outcomes. So this is new capability, new initiatives that are deployed into those business units. What are the change outcomes that you're going to get? So you're going to get improved decision making. Are you going to make quicker and more informed decisions? Anything else that's a business change outcome at that business unit level. And then the capability work required in order to get those business change outcomes. So you're going to need new technology, you're going to need to train your staff, and you're going to need to change the processes that your business uses, or define them, as many businesses haven't got their projects, their capability and their processes defined. So that's essentially how we pull together the strategic journey mapping and the business capability initiatives from all the way from your objectives, key results, and tasks that you need to in order to meet your company strategic initiatives. And then we can come down into benefits articulation, how we describe the project benefits. And then we can go into a problem definition map, which is a fairly common definition map, which some businesses use, some don't. Essentially, the root cause requiring the strategic intervention, the primary causes that have a problem statement, cause and effect, and what's the consequence of that issue that is from those causes. So maybe the strategic intervention cause could be the business hasn't taken a proactive approach to our IT systems, so we're well behind the 8 ball. Obviously the cause is that systems are old for that issue, and the issue being can't keep up with the pace of business, slow, unable to get the reports we need, can't integrate with new pieces of software. And then the consequence, obviously, of that, you want to articulate what the consequences of those issues are, because you can state all the issues under the sun. If there's no consequence to those issues, then why would you make any changes? So obviously the consequence of not being able to integrate with modern systems results in manual handling, which that manual handling has the consequence of missing sales orders, and then that has a disbenefit of sales not going through the system and not being processed, and losing customers and losing a sale that you already had. So we can map the strategic intervention causes right the way through to the strategic benefit, disbenefit for the business. Okay, cool. So then you can do a crime session to get to the root of the cause and effect. So you can do an outcome description of the future state. So you can do your current state issues, your future state description, and then crime is what are we going to create, reduce, increase, maintain, or eliminate in order to get the outcomes rectified or get new outcomes, and what assumptions are we making. And then obviously these feed into work, outcomes, key benefits, and objectives, which then fits back into the project mapping that we've been looking at earlier on. And here we can map out the benefits chart. We can see who the key stakeholders are, what the strategic benefit outcomes are, what the business unit benefit outcomes are, change outcomes, key measures, how are we going to measure that, what work is going to be required to do it, and what key assumptions and risks are we undertaking with this initiative in order to get our key results for the company done and the objectives done. All right, and then we move on to the project benefits chart, which then gets into the detail of what are our strategic key results, business unit benefit outcomes, change outcomes, and then the capability work required on a little bit more detailed scale. So what new technology, what new processes, and what training is going to be required in any global assumptions. So it basically maps out our strategic investments, projects, and what have you that our business needs to do. We come back to this initial chart and basically take you back to the basics of where this all starts out with your strategic objectives for your company, your strategic key results, and then what key activities are you going to be pursuing in order to get those key result outcomes. So that's effectively a quick rundown. I know it's been a long video for a quick rundown, but a quick rundown on how strategy works and how it can be mapped out for your business in an effective manner and communicated effectively and understood by everyone that's going through. Cool. Cheers, team.